has come. For 300 years, we prepared, we grew stronger. While you rested in your cradle of power.
So over in Japan, there was a convention where a bunch of manga creators got together, and I think there were some panels or something. I'm not sure. I don't have details on the actual conference. But what I do have is a very interesting interview with the creator of Love Hina. Not really a property that I'm familiar with. I've heard of it, but it's not really something that I think that I would be interested in. If you are, that's great. I'm not here to criticize the material. I'm here to talk about what the creator said. So this is the original interview. It got translated. This is a translation from Japanese to English via Google Translate. So there could be a little bit lost here and there, but I think that the message is still there and we can talk about it. So it's a long interview. But the big one that I'm interested in talking about today is, can comics that are insanely politically conscious sell? And stuff like that. So basically, Bound Into Comics captured some good parts of this that I want to go over. And it's the fear of the global market influencing Japanese creators, basically. They're afraid of political correctness making its way into manga because of the fact that, let's face it, more money is coming in to Japan on anime and manga from outside of the country. So I think, and I've done a video on this because it's worrisome for a few reasons, right? Okay, so basically, they're making a little bit more money now outside of Japan on all of these properties than they make in the country. And that brings influence, which basically Ken Akamatsu, I'm probably brutalizing that name, expresses concerns that once that money comes in, there's going to be rising pressure from Western markets to, as he says, introduce political correctness into manga and the possible negative effects such a push could have for creators and fans across the medium is going to hurt free expression and the ability to tell the stories that they want to tell. And as Ken points out, there's a lot of creative freedom in Japan to kind of do whatever the hell they want. And I think that's what gets picked up and makes this a global product. It's people just appreciating good stories, right? Good stuff, good stories, good shows, good entertainment, which people are desperately craving right now. And it's one of the reasons, in my opinion, that the medium has blown up in such popularity. The fact that Hollywood has strong-armed itself so much with all this PC stuff or, woke entertainment that a lot of people are just bouncing. And they're not coming back. You see it in the ratings, you see it in the sales, and so on and so on. But the problem, this is why it would be a mistake for companies to do this, but they're going to do it anyway. Funimation's already kind of doing it by sitting on boards over in Japan. Fire Force, I think they're a part of that creative process for that show now on a panel or something over there. That's where it starts, and it moves in. Like there's gonna be a push over in Japan to say, well, why don't you make it more of a global thing? And it's like, well, that kind of ruins it. It's the same thing that's happening once again with Hollywood, as now they're trying to take all of these films that they're making now and appease them to China because they can make big money in China. It kind of would be the same thing. Okay, well, let's change anime and manga to try to appeal to woke Puritans over in the West, and it'll end up crippling what they have already. And this is kind of what these people are afraid of. And you can't really blame them. I mean, that's the big fear. That political correctness, quote here, external pressure is coming, such as the pressure to introduce political correctness into manga and movies, the mangakas added. That's dangerous, isn't it? Someone else that he was talking to explained Or no, this is Ken Amatsui. That's the actual creator. Sorry. Says, then explained, so far when Japanese manga is at the stage of looking at the world, there is a pressure on the scene to meet more global standards. So the way, and this is getting lost in translation here a little bit, it sounds like some of that pressure is already starting. And that makes me wonder, will we get any more Goblin Slayers? Will we get any more Attack on Titans? Will we get any more redo of Healers? And despite if you like those or not, they have a right to exist, right? And will we get them? I'd rather live in a world where we get stuff like that than we don't. But stuff like that over here is very, very blasted. And the great thing about that is it still sells despite the people blasting it. And there's not really anything that Western companies or fake fans can do about it. But it's likely going to change. All right. As of right now, Japan's been giving them the finger. But once all this money starts coming in, these people that do have power over there that run studios and, publishers like Shonen Jump, eventually they will sit down and go, how can we appeal more to the West? We already got all this money coming in. How can we increase that? And that's when the problem will start. And what it sounds like here is that it's already kind of started. So I'd like to have the manga artists unify their opinions to some extent as to whether such things are correct or not. He continued, however, when the sales of works that have become globalized and have no sharp edges are good, they end up saying, oh, PC might be good. The veteran's statements were echoed by co-panelist Takumo Kobayashi, probably brutalizing that, I apologize, the representative director of Publishing House Number 9 Co., who similarly opined, regardless of the company, I think that freedom of expression should be respected in my personal opinion. And then Akamatsu later remarked, if you don't go abroad, the PC problem isn't a battle at all, which prompted him to share his personal idea that I don't think a series will sell that much when it comes to selling itself as politically correct. The point is, manga that was released without being conscious of PC cannot be due to the political correctness, cannot be read due to the PC problem, said Kobayashi. I think this is a mess like a fire. So it goes on to talk about mass appeal versus artistic authenticity, which I think is good. Manga is mainly about freedom of expression, and it feels like you don't give in to political correctness, noted Akamatsu before questioning, is it a loss if the PC works get overwhelmingly power? Think power, if it becomes overwhelmingly powerful as an influence. I wonder if that means, and that's it. So I think there's a little bit of a translation problem there, but I think basically what he was saying is that what's going to happen, if this influence totally takes over. And then they went on to it a little bit more and said basically that they think in 10, 20, 30 years, all of this is going to change and go away. I don't know. But they concluded, that's why I think it's important not to win or lose in the short term, but to always create something that you can be proud of as entertainment. I agree. So the really interesting thing to me about all of this is that you have these creators now openly discussing this. There's been pushes for laws to get made by some people. And I wonder, what is all of this going to look like? Will censorship and political correctness creep its way in over there and ruin things? It's tough to say, but I do think it's going to happen eventually. Funimation has been snaking their way in to a lot of stuff there, and they pretty much have dominance over here. What's going to happen if there's a big property over there and they refuse to bring it over here without censorship? Which could happen. And that would be the fault of the people in Japan for bending the knee to Funimation and letting them have distribution rights to everything. It's their fault, kind of, but, it is what it is now. So, I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, take a moment, make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. There's something going on right now, and they've been unsubscribing people. So just take a second and double check on that, and subscribe if you're new.